So our ambassadors are going to share their name, what they're studying, what year they are, their hometown, and then any other experiences that our prospective students and families might find interesting, like study abroad, club involvement, work study experience, etc. Ambassadors, I'm going to say that list again so you don't feel like you're memorizing that. So we're going to be saying our name, our year, what we're studying, where we're from, and any other experiences our students might find interesting today. So why don't we start with Thea? Thea, do you mind sharing?
No, not at all. Hi guys, I'm Thea. I'm a junior here at Gonzaga and I'm studying, I'm double majoring in international relations and Spanish, and I have a minor in entrepreneurship and innovation. I'm from Seattle, Washington originally, and let's see, something you would find interesting. I'm really involved in the school newspaper. I'm the news editor. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do ever. So that's me. Hi.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Thea. I have Anna Sophia next.
Hi guys, I'm Anna Sophia. I'm a junior like Thea. I am a psych major with minors in women's and gender studies and religious studies, and I'm also on the pre-med track. I'm from, what was the question? I'm from like Bellevue area of Washington, and I'm really involved in the like health sciences club. So yeah.
Perfect. Up next, I have Katie in my list.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie. I am also a junior here at Gonzaga. I'm majoring in nursing, and what were the other questions? Something I'm involved in on campus is GSNA, which is Gonzaga Student Nursing Association. Yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Katie. And then next I have Jeffrey.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey. I'm a senior, majoring in business administration, concentrating in information systems and operations, and minoring in communication studies. I'm from Bothell, Washington, so a little bit north of Seattle. And then I'm currently involved in student government, Gonzaga Outdoors, and some of the cultural clubs here at Gonzaga.
Perfect. Thank you, ambassadors. We're going to just jump right into these questions. We're starting to get them already.
Lindsay.
Oh, Chris, I am so sorry. Please share your information. My apologies. Thanks for catching that. Chris, go ahead.
It's okay. I just didn't want to pop up and prospective students be like, who is this? Hi guys, my name is Christopher Farrow. I am a senior here. I'm double majoring in psychology and Spanish, and I'm from Portland, Oregon. One thing that I can really harp on is study abroad. So if anybody has questions about study abroad, I went abroad twice, so I'm very familiar with the process. So thank you.
Perfect. Thanks again for catching that, Chris. All right, our first question is, what is the city of Spokane like? So are there one or two ambassadors who would like to talk about Spokane? Chris, go ahead.
I can talk. Oh, no.
Katie, do you want to go first and I can just follow up on you?
No, go for it. I'll follow after you.
Perfect. Well, Spokane's super, I love this city. I mean, at first I'm from Portland, so I'm from a very big, metropolitan area, and Spokane was a little bit of adjustment. It's not as big of a city. However, the downtown is such a beautiful area, and it's so close to campus. You can walk there if you want to on the Centennial Trail, probably 10-15 minute walk depending on your pace. And then you can Uber down there super quick. There's a bunch of restaurants and a bunch of places to hang out at. A bunch of beautiful parks and areas for outdoor activity here in Spokane too. The city is very fond of that. And then during the winter, the snow is something so just cool. It definitely becomes a challenge to navigate life when it's snowy and icy outside, but it's just so beautiful, and it always is something to look forward to. It's like the first snow at Gonzaga, and then to get the city of Spokane around that to just look so cool, I guess.
Yeah, going off of what Chris said, so I'm from Northern California, so I've never really had seasons before, and so that was a huge thing when coming to Washington, was having fall and winter. So I really have learned to enjoy that much more than I thought I would. I do like the city of Spokane. I had never been here before I had toured Gonzaga, and so it's definitely a change from where I'm from, but I really found parts that I like, and I work downtown, so I see a lot of it, and so I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you both. Our next question is, what is something that you wish you had known about Gonzaga before you started your college career? Is there one or two of you that have a good response for that? I think I said.
Yeah, I definitely, one thing I missed was CLP and Hogan, which are two first year application cycles. And basically, I'm not sure the entire specifics of Hogan, but I know with CLP, it's the Comprehensive Leadership Program. And you apply for it within, I think it's October of your first year. And I did not check my morning mail at all my first year. And that's one thing I want to recommend to future Zags. Every morning at like 6 a.m. in your school email, you'll get an update with just weekly activities or daily activities. And it's definitely really crucial to check that, because then you don't miss out on opportunities such as CLP and Hogan, which are two programs that last your entirety of Gonzaga. So it goes all 4 years, but you can only apply to them during the start of your first year to get into the program. So definitely just stay. I wish I just would have checked morning mail more and been more in the loop my first year for sure.
Anybody else have something to add to that? Okay, that's okay. Why don't we move forward so we can keep answering questions? I had a student ask, what made Gonzaga your #1 pick while you were college searching? Yeah, go for it, Anna Sophia.
So one thing that I was really looking for in a college, or just, university, whatever, was like a community aspect, because I've gone to smaller schools my whole life. And so I wanted to make sure that wherever I went, I wasn't feeling overwhelmed by the amount of people. I didn't feel like just another number in a system. And when I came to Gonzaga I didn't get to tour, so I just came for Gel Weekend. And I met a couple professors. I met a bunch of like ambassadors and just people on like campus, and everyone expressed the communal aspect. Like everyone feels like they're just part of a big group of people, and everyone has kind of like a support system to rely on. It's kind of crazy. Like your first like week freshman year, they huddle your entire class into St. Al's, and you get to see like your class is pretty big, but also it's not large enough where it feels like overwhelming, and you kind of get a good idea of like who you're with, the kind of people that you're going to be with for the next 4 years, and everyone just seems super like supportive, and everyone wants to be like a person for others. I feel like on campus, one thing that I think everyone jokes about is you never open doors because someone's always opening a door for you or like holding it for you, and everyone's just always looking out for each other, and it just feels like a nice place to like grow as a person, without feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, I can kind of speak on that. I can speak on that a little bit as well. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a cliche, and I'm sure you hear it at a lot of schools, but the community is really something that has to be stressed over and over again, because it's huge. And for me, when I was deciding on schools and I was going through the whole process, actually my #1 schools, Gonzaga was actually not up at #1. And like a little bit of background on that, both my parents went here, my grandparents went here, my aunt and uncle went here. And so I was looking at Gonzaga and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna go there. I don't know if a couple of you have had that experience, like I'm not going where my parents went. So I was pretty set on that, but my dad was like, just go tour it. Like, you don't know what you'll think about it. And so I came and toured, and what I found on my tour, with an amazing ambassador who I'm actually still friends with to this day. But I found that there's a reason that everyone I know, everyone in my life actually went here, and it's because of the community, and it's such an amazing school. And so yeah, for me, it was just like seeing that community and then seeing it in the alumni of the community. Because even to this day, my parents get Christmas cards. Like when the Zags were going to the championship, people were sending out Christmas cards in all their Zag gear. And so I thought that was super cool. It's like a community that goes on past when you graduate and everything.
Awesome. Thank you both. I have a student asking if one of you could answer, what is it like starting in a new place and not knowing anyone? So for someone who is not from this area specifically, coming into a new place. Yeah, Katie.
Yeah, I can totally talk about this one. I knew nobody coming to Gonzaga. No one from my school or anywhere near me was coming to GU. And so I totally just moved up to Spokane, Washington by myself. And I felt so comfortable and so like at home here. Freshman year, my roommate was random. So I had no idea who she was. And we met the first day of school. And it was a great experience. I lived in Catherine, Monica. And for the first week, everyone was just walking around the door, meeting people, and just like trying to get to know everyone because everyone was new and everyone was trying to make friends and figure out their place. And so I think I never felt overwhelmed by the fact of not knowing anyone or not knowing what to do because everyone was kind of in that same position with me. And so I just tried to get involved with as much as possible my freshman year, or even just look at things so that I could meet other people with similar interests and try to find my little group that I wanted to. And I am still friends with the first people that I met my freshman year of college. I live with them right now. And so I feel Gonzaga did a great job of making me feel comfortable here.
Wonderful. We also have a student asking weather in Spokane. What is it like? Is it cold? Is it hot? Anyone want to quick speak to that?
Yeah, I can speak on that a little bit. So yeah, it's been said before, but Spokane has very distinct 4 seasons. So if that's something you are interested in, we definitely have it. I will say Spokane falls are something to be marveled at. They're amazing. It's beautiful. It's like sunny, but cold, but not too cold. And all the leaves are turning and the sunsets. I mean, if you haven't heard about a Spokane sunset yet, somewhere along preview day thus far, Spokane sunsets cannot be beat. But yeah, and then the winter, it's like just long enough to where at the end of it, you're like, okay, I'm ready for this to be over. And then it is, which is nice. And it never gets too snowy, but it gets just snowy enough that we have great skiing all around. And then the spring is another classic Gonzaga experience. You walk around campus and you'll just see students everywhere laying out on their blankets, hammocking. It stays like a nice like 65 degrees. It's kind of perfect in my opinion. But yeah, so if 4 seasons are what you're looking for, I say we have each of them very moderately, which is great.
Awesome. Can one of you speak to, is it difficult to double major here at Gonzaga? Is that something that's possible here? The short answer is yes, you can double major. But do any of you have experience in that or have a friend who has experience in that? Yeah, Chris, go for it.
I'm currently a double major, psychology and Spanish, and I haven't found it to be too difficult to balance. However, with my Spanish degree, I came in at 300 level just because I took dual enrollment courses in high school. However, I've heard people that have started from 201 and still been able to double major in Spanish and something else. So double majoring is definitely possible. And Gonzaga, your advisor, will definitely help you take the right courses at the right times to complete both the majors. It does seem very daunting, but it's honestly very doable if it's something that you really want to do. And I know people that double major and still have minors under that. So it's just all about time management, when you take your classes, how many classes you take, but it's super easy to get the process done and have support through your advisor here at Gonzaga. So don't let it intimidate you or make.
Oh, it looks like you unmuted for a second there at the end, Chris. Okay.
Am I good?
Yes, I think so. This next question is actually more directed towards you, Chris, as well. We just have a lot of talk about study abroad. Could you quick speak to how hard is it to schedule it with your advisor? How early should you talk to your advisor? Maybe give a pitch. Is it worth it to study abroad?
So like I mentioned, I studied abroad twice. I did Spanish immersion programs both times, and I would say yes. If you have the chance to do it, please study abroad. It was such an amazing experience just to get a complete change of culture, a complete change of life, a complete change of the language that I'm hearing every day. And I feel like I learned a lot about myself and about the world and about just things that affect other cultures and societies that I never had any knowledge of. So I would recommend it. And when it comes to study abroad, we have our Center for Global Engagement, where you can go talk to study abroad advisors as early as right when you start school, or you can even email them whenever their link is on the Gonzaga website. I would recommend, I went to Granada in the spring of 2019, and I reached out the summer before I started my second year at Gonzaga. So I just emailed them and said I was interested, and then they took me through the application cycle the semester before. That's usually when you do most of it. And then it's pretty much you get your courses approved depending on what program you're choosing. And it seems, yet again, like I said, in a double major, it seems like a very daunting task. However, due to the advisors, you never feel alone in the process, and it's very easy to walk through everything and to make sure you have your right documents and to do all that. And then you get to experience a whole new place for anywhere from 4 to 6 months. So I would recommend it. And even if there's a program that is not at Gonzaga yet, you can trailblaze and you can talk to the study abroad advisors to see if a new program would work. I actually was abroad in Costa Rica in the spring through a program that's never been done with Gonzaga before. And I got all my courses approved and I ended up getting all my credits transferred. So pretty much the world's your oyster with this one, guys. You can figure out where you want to go, even if it's not on Gonzaga's list, and make it happen with the help of the advisors and making sure courses are approved and everything.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, I did see in the chat that someone was saying that like they weren't sure if a whole semester or a year like would be good for them. They might be a little bit more comfortable with something shorter. I actually did a 1 month long immersion program over the summer after my freshman year in Cuernavaca, Mexico. And there's a lot of programs like that where it's either 1 month or 2 months, it's over the summer, something like that. And so there's like on top of that, like Chris said, anything that you want, you can make happen, including the length of your stay there. So like I said, mine was only a month, but it was amazing. I had a super great and immersive experience, and it was super, super fun. So yeah, like you said, the world is your oyster.
Perfect, thank you. And I will just say study abroad is very normalized at Gonzaga, so it's certainly not weird or abnormal to be gone for a semester to study abroad. A lot of students are participating in our programs. I have had a student ask, what kind of things do students do for fun? Could one or two of you speak to that? And you could speak a little bit to both on campus and off campus. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Hi. I think there's a lot of things that students do here for fun. For me as a freshman, I was really into Spike Nights, which I know some people like and some people kind of have their own thing going, but Spike Nights are these pre-set up events that student government does, or no, it's like this office right next to student government, but they put these events on that are really fun. And I've gone like roller skating, ice skating. They did like a stargazing one. They've done tie-dye, gingerbread houses. Like they do a lot of fun events like every weekend so that students have something to do. And I would highly recommend doing those if you have the chance to. But then there's also things like Jew Outdoors that put on like kayaking and hiking and backpacking trips for you to go on. So there's a lot of fun stuff to do. There's also a chat that says, is there rock climbing in the area? There is rock climbing. There's outdoor rock climbing, and there's also indoor rock climbing in Spokane.
Great, thank you. Yeah, Anna Sophia, go ahead and.
One thing that my group of friends really liked doing, especially like on the weekends or whenever we just maybe had like an easy night of homework, Spokane has a lot of like hidden gems that I think a lot of people don't realize. There's a lot of like cool little cafes, or one of the malls up north has an aquarium in it. That's like, and if you like Google like activities in Spokane, not a lot of it's going to come up because I mean, they're like hidden gems for a reason. But if you just like kind of walk around downtown, and you kind of like get the feel of the city too, so you're not stuck on the like in the campus bubble. But yeah, it's super easy to walk down. I think Chris mentioned the Centennial Trail. It's also a beautiful walk too. Spokane also recently finished, I think it's called the Pavilion. I don't know what it's called. Do you guys know the thing that lights up at night? It's like next to the falls. Super cool. They do like light shows at night. So we kind of just walk, and it's easy to like find things if you like look for them. So if you just kind of take a walk around and kind of start to explore, you find like fun activities to do.
We even have axe throwing really close to Gonzaga's campus. There's a place where you can rent axes and like throw them at a wall. So just anything that you want, you can find here.
Perfect, thank you all. We have some interest in intramural programs and club sports. Can one or two of you talk to the popularity of those and experiences with those? Yeah, please, Thea.
Yeah, so Yeah, I can talk a little bit about both. I actually was on the club volleyball team for a little while, and I really, really enjoyed it. And so club sports is definitely an option that you can get involved in if you find yourself thinking that you're like not quite the D1 level, but you're also like a little bit above the intramurals. Like maybe you get frustrated playing those games with your friends because you know you're a little bit above that. So that was me with volleyball. And so I ended up playing club volleyball, and it was great because the practices, you do have to try out, but I believe for most teams, they're not too strenuous of tryouts. And so we had practice a couple of times a week. You meet a ton of people through it. Like we were really partnered up with the guys' club volleyball team. So we would do socials with them a lot, and we would do we did like a car wash event with them. And like, so I met a ton of people right off the bat freshman year doing that. And you get the experience of traveling, which is pretty fun if you're on the club team. So we went to Boise State, we went to Western, UW, went to Oregon State a bunch of times. Yeah, you travel all over the area, and it's super fun. You all pile into a very cramped club van and spend 9 hours in the car together. So it's super bonding. So I recommend that if you're looking to make friends and also you're really interested in that sport. And then intramurals is a little bit different. The intramural season, so to speak, is all year, but they do different rounds of different types of games. So they have like volleyball again, and then they have some kind of random ones like what was it? They had like inner tube basketball, which is in the pool. And so if you're interested in stuff like that, it's pretty cool. I saw a question. We do have club lacrosse, and I believe they're pretty good actually. And yeah, so that's intramurals, and there's different levels of intramurals. So they're named after different streets in the Gonzaga neighborhood, which I think is pretty fun. But there's like never played before, never even touched a ball or whatever, and then it goes all the way up to like pretty competitive. And one of the goals of your time at Gonzaga, for a lot of people at least, is to win an intramural championship shirt. They're pretty coveted. It's pretty hard to get one. I got really close one time and then I lost it, but we're okay. But so yeah, there's a lot of options in terms of sports that you can play, clubs you can get involved in, as well as intramurals.
Well, thank you, Thea. I will also just point out there's a big freshman intramural tournament called the Freshman Games that students are super into. So even if you don't want to do it all 4 years, that's a really easy way to start meeting people when you first get to campus. We have a student asking how on-campus food is. Does someone want to speak to that? Perfect.
Okay, so I think the on-campus food at Gonzaga is really, really good compared to a lot of other schools. I really had no perspective as like what to compare it to. In terms of like high school food, it's beyond superior. But then I visited my friend at UC Berkeley, and I was like, whoa, is this what your cafeteria is like? Because I think Gonzaga's food is just so, so good. Especially being a senior now, if I have like a freshman or a sophomore friend let me into the COG, which is our cafeteria, it's like a blessing because it's super, super good food. You don't have to make it, you don't have to do any of your dishes. It's just like perfect. So, in my opinion, I really love it. And yeah, I highly recommend it.
I had a little bit different of an experience. I have a lot of dietary restrictions. Like I can't eat gluten, I can't have dairy, I can't have, there's like a lot of things that I can't eat. And so going into like a cafeteria where like I can't read the ingredients of every single thing was really daunting. And like the food is really good, but it's kind of, especially if you have a lot of dietary restrictions, kind of like scary, like, oh, if I eat this, will I get sick? Or will I feel gross after I eat this? But we actually have like, so Sodexo is our catering company, and they have an app, and you can look at like information about the food. And you can also ask to speak to a dietitian, and they can help you figure out, because we do have like a full, so the way that the cafeteria works is we have 2 on-campus cafeterias. One of them is more restaurant style, and one of them is like buffet style, I think. And so there's like a couple different areas, and each area is like known for like different kinds of food. So like there's a diner style food, there's like an Italian kind of food. We do have like a vegan, I can't remember if it's vegan or vegetarian, but there's one that's just all vegan and vegetarian. We have gluten-free sections of the cafeteria. The entire cafeteria is like nut-free, just to be aware of allergies. But But if you are worried about like, oh, I don't know if I can eat any of these things, or if like it will affect me at all, you can ask to speak to a dietitian, and they can help you like know which meals contain certain things that you may or not be able to eat. And it makes everything so much easier because you don't have to worry about like asking the people like while you're in line, like asking the people making the food, like, hey, does this have whatever. So yeah, there's definitely resources for it too.
Thanks for both those perspectives. And then also, we have a lot of restaurants just within walking distance. So if you ever are not in the mood for cafeteria food, it's pretty easy to get around Spokane and find a new place to eat. We've had some questions about religion on campus. What role does it play in your everyday school life? Yeah, Katie. And then maybe Thea can add to that.
Yeah, so I am not a very religious person. So coming to a religion-based university was a little intimidating to me because I was worried that I would have to take a lot of religion classes and it just wouldn't be something that I would be interested in. And so because of Gonzaga's core requirement, you are required to take 2 religion classes, a Christian Catholic and a world comparative, and I'm actually taking both of those right now, and they are such interesting classes because it's not just straight like this is the religion, learn it. I'm taking discernment across faith traditions, so I'm learning about different religions and decision making involved in those, and then also liturgy, so learning a lot about symbolism within the mass and things like that. And so I have found religion on campus to not be overly emphasized, but it is there if you want it. And if you do find that religion plays a large part in your life, we have resources available to help you best find how you want that to happen at school. And so I think that has been great, and there's no like mass requirement or anything like that. So if you're not religious, it's not like forced down.
Yeah, I'll just kind of go off that really quickly, but very similar to what Katie said, I am also not that religious, but I did find kind of a niche interest starting my freshman year when I took a core religion class in just religious studies. I'm not minoring in it or anything, but I think I've taken an equal number of religious studies classes to regular or like not related to religion classes, just by chance, and because some of them overlapped with international relations, and like I actually just found them to be incredibly interesting. And yeah, it doesn't just have to be on like the Jesuit institution or Catholicism or anything like that. We have classes that just range from anything. Like my favorite one that I took actually was called Religion and Violence, and it actually just looked at the ways in which religion across the world is either peace building or instills violence, and it was super interesting. And so yeah, I mean, it can be a little bit intimidating coming to a school that is a religious institution, but what I found at least is that you actually just get to explore what that means like from an intellectual standpoint. And I think so much of the world revolves around religion and religious conflicts and religious coming together. So, you know, I think you'll find that it's actually really helpful.
Perfect. Thank you both. And we have an excellent mission and ministry office that serves all our students regardless of faith background. So if you are a Catholic or Christian student, they have lots of events for you, but they're also willing to help and serve our non-religious students and students of different faith backgrounds. We have a student asking about how easy is it to get involved in clubs? When should you start getting involved in clubs? How do you find out about clubs? Anyone want to speak to that? Yeah, Jeffrey, please.
So for me, I thought it was pretty easy getting into clubs. None of the clubs I've been in have really been like a hard and fast, you have to do this or interview for this. I think a lot of them are really intentional about being inclusive so that as many students can be in them as they want. But I think a big thing about helping you get into clubs and finding clubs that you like are trying to meet upperclassmen who have maybe been in a couple of those clubs. That's what I did. I started going to the student government office when I was a freshman, and I got exposed to a lot of different people who had been in a bunch of different clubs. And I got a chance to be in some of the most important parts of my Gonzaga experience, I think, being in Queer Student Union and Asian American Union, which are two of the cultural clubs at Gonzaga, have been really formative to my experience here. So I would recommend getting into clubs as soon as you can, because at the end of the day, you can see a new group of people, a new community of people to make friends in, and kind of learn more about yourself. But if you don't find yourself being really involved in clubs at the beginning, you can always keep joining clubs. Like I just joined, or I just got involved in Gonzaga Outdoors more so like this year as a senior. So it's never too late. So there's a bunch of different clubs you can be a part of.
Perfect. We've had a lot of questions about housing. One of our counselors has already commented that you are required to live on campus your first 2 years, but we have some questions about how do you choose housing? What's that process like? Maybe you could speak to a little what types of housing we have on campus. Does anyone want to speak to that? Yeah, Anna Sophia, thank you.
So for the housing requirement, it is your freshman and sophomore year. You can live on campus your junior and senior year. It's a little bit harder because housing is kind of limited. But there's a couple different styles of housing. So there's like traditional dorm style, which is where most freshmen end up. There's Madonna, Catherine Monica, Coughlin. I think Welch is also one of them, DeSmet, and there's a couple of smaller dorms too. We have co-ed housing and single gender housing. So there's most of the dorms are co-ed. The only exceptions to that are Alliance, which is all female, and then DeSmet as well as Roncalli. The DeSmet and Roncalli are all male. And so if you want to live just with girls or just with guys, you can definitely note that on your housing application. The other different styles of housing, there's like suite style, which is kind of a transition between traditional style where it's like you and your roommate in this long corridor with like 20 different rooms on the same hallway. Suite style is kind of a transition between that and apartment where it's you live with like maybe like 4 or 6 people. Some of them have like small kitchenettes, but most of them are just like they are like 3 different rooms joined together by like a small common space. And then there's apartment style, which is typically your sophomore year. We have apartments off campus, kind of. It's like a block off campus, and it's like an actual apartment building. You live with like 4 to 6 other people. You have a full kitchen, 2 bathrooms to yourself, etc. But so the one thing that I will say about housing that I wish I had known a little bit more about my freshman year or going into like applying for housing is there are these dorms are designated as LLCs, so they're living learning communities. Coughlin is one of them. Marion, is it Dillon or Galler? I don't remember which one, but one of them is like an engineering LLC. So it's all of these students that live in this house or in this dorm building have applied for it because they like share the same interests. So within Coughlin, there's different floors of Coughlin, and so each one is a designated like theme. There's a 4th floor, which is like Women for Others, and it's all women who are just interested in volunteering or being part of like the larger volunteering community on campus. There's also Marion, which is the outdoors themed dorm. So basically they just have access to like a lot of extra outdoor activities that maybe the rest of us wouldn't hear about or like have first picks to. Dillon or Galler, I can't remember which one, is like an engineering LLC. So if you want to be with a bunch of other engineers because you want to like maybe form study groups or get to know people who will be in your classes and live with them, Dillon or Galler, I can't remember which one it is, but that would be a good one to apply to. But so if you want to just have like a good like social experience, any dorm would be great for it. It just depends if you have more niche wants or if you maybe are thinking that you want to be in a very specific setting. That's when I think you need to look a little bit more closely at the different housing options, but any one of them is great. They all have their pros and cons. So.
Perfect. And we're getting right to the end. We've had so many amazing questions so far. I've had a student ask about how do you get basketball tickets? Famous Gonzaga basketball. Does someone want to speak to tenting and getting tickets? Yeah, Thea, please.
Yeah, so this is actually one of my favorite parts of Gonzaga, and it was one of my like driving factors behind why I wanted to come here. Just another staple of that community. But yeah, so all the basketball tickets are free, but what you do is pay with your time essentially. So most games are going to be you're going to get your tickets every Sunday. They'll hold distribution. So students will line up outside of the gym and wait and get, I believe you get numbers, and then you go through the line and you get tickets. And it's usually for the next 3 games. And then you just tell them which games you're planning on attending. And so you do have to wait a little bit for those. And that's paying with your time. And like I said, but they're free. And so you just use your ZAG ID to swipe into the game. And then tenting is the really, tenting is for the big games that we play against our rivals like St. Mary's, BYU, Duke, games like that. And so basically what happens is, if the game is on Saturday, that Wednesday before, Kennel Club, which is kind of the spirit squad on campus, is going to send out a tweet with a location, and everyone that is participating is going to run to that location to get their number. And it's really crazy. It looks kind of apocalyptic. Like people are just like sprinting across campus to like one very specific location. And once you get there, you line up in order and they give you a number. And the goal is kind of to get between like 1 and 40. And those are kind of the prime numbers, the prime tents. But yeah, so then on Friday night, everyone sets up their tents. And it's kind of, again, like paying with your time, like proving your loyalty, like you're willing to stay with your group in your tent overnight. And a lot of the times it's like in the dead of winter. So like I remember one year, we literally like carved out a space from the snow to put our tent in. And one person from your group has to be in the tent at all times. And I believe you're in there for like 12 hours. I think you set up the tent at like 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. and then takedown is the next day at 3 or 5 p.m., something like that. But the tent city is what we call it. It's super, super fun. It's a great community. There's like music. The basketball players come and bring people pizza. They always have breakfast and coffee set up. And then people are just like kind of being rowdy and fun all night. And it's just like, again, really, really communal, super fun, very cold, but super fun. And it just makes the game like that much more fun because once you get there, everyone knows they worked that hard to be there. And so as tired as everyone is, I think what kind of sets in is that like delirious, crazy tired, and everybody's like just like chanting their hardest and like, yeah. And those are televised games too. So it's always a good time. But yeah, one of my favorite parts of Gonzaga for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you, Thea, for such a comprehensive answer. And thank you to our ambassadors. You answered a lot of questions today. Definitely appreciate your perspective. Prospective students and families, I know that I wasn't able to hit every single question in the chat, so I really just recommend, we have other student panels offered throughout the month that you can sign up for. We're also offering one-on-one meetings with current students if that's something you're interested in, and meetings with admission counselors. And I believe my colleague Sandra dropped links in the chat for that. But if you haven't already, I really recommend getting more involved in our virtual programming. There's so many ways to get involved with our current students.